for my podcast. So now I carry out a recorder and I try to just capture conversations. You know, so I have my podcast, I have my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel, my personal podcast. You know, life is amazing because I'll tell you just one thing. The brain is like an iPad. The brain is like your iPhone or your Android. You want to go learn how to make money? You go learn that and you execute it and you're done. You want your phone to do video editing? You download that app with just learning it, and then you do the videos, you execute it, you have a video. It's that simple. That's what I was telling you earlier, like about the brainwashing part. Like there's videos I've listened to for 6 months straight because I'm like, fuck, I need this data so bad. I need to just listen to this over and over and over. Scientifically, they say you have to listen to something 14 times before it becomes subconscious, right? Consciously knowing one thing doesn't work. All your friends and people, family that says, oh, I know this, oh, I know that. Great. But are you a practitioner? Are you practicing it? Are you executing it? You know what I mean? So when you listen to it 14 times, it just becomes subconscious, and guess what now? It's automated. You just do it. Or you force yourself to practice over and over and over, and then it becomes automated. Like, why do you brush your teeth the way you brush your teeth? You don't even think about it. It's automated. I'm just joking, right? Right? Whatever you do, right? It's automated. But how do you change your way of brushing your teeth better? By asking advice from a dentist, right? How do you floss better? It's the micro things that are important in life. It's not the macro, because the macro is made by the micros. You know, like a flashlight, when you shine the light, it goes from small and it gets bigger, and it gets like really big on the wall. This part is you. That's the micro habit of just getting to the lifestyle of changing. But at the end of the year, at the end of 365 days, when you hit that light, bam, that result is either good or bad. Mm-hmm. It's either a big light of shit or a big light of something you've been striving for, right? Mm-hmm. That's life. And then imagine in 60 years, 50 years, 40 years, it's fucking 14 times bigger. That's what I always preach to the employees. I'm like, dude, it's about your little habits. Use this job here for me to bitch at you, so you need to make small changes in life. But people don't see that. People always go, you know what? I want a guarantee in life. If it's not guaranteed, I'm not going to do it. But the guarantee is you just not quitting, and you're going to get it. I think back 10 years from now, I'm like, dude, you know how many businesses I started when I was like 14? If I only just stuck with all of them, oh man, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'm in a fucking palace. I'm in a fucking castle. You see what I'm saying? This is not quitting. That's the beauty about life. It's the consistency. It's about how much you can teach yourself new things and execute it. That's it. Just be mindful of your day-to-day actions, what you don't like, and just say, you know what? For the next 14 days, they say it takes 21 days to break a habit. I'm going to spend 21 days because I hate the way What thing you don't like about yourself? I hate the way I do something. And say, you know what? I'm not going to do that again. And just cue your brain in. And cue your brain in to go, every time I catch myself doing it, I'm just going to slap myself. Pretend you're going to make that rule for yourself. But it's the action of reminding yourself Not the slapping part. It's the action. It's constantly reminding yourself. And then in 21 days or so, you forget about it and it becomes automated. There was an analogy that I read in the self-help book. It says if you come home every day and you always lose your keys, but you say, you know what, for the next 21 days when I come home, I don't care how much stuff I'm carrying, I don't care how much stuff is in my way, I'm only gonna walk to that place and put my keys there. And within that 21 days, when it becomes subliminal now, becomes automated, you just come home, you put it down, you don't even think about it. But that's just a micro. Mm-hmm. Now you're getting into a lifestyle of changing micro habits. Imagine you change 10 micro habits, where will you fucking be in the next 365 days? Mm-hmm. People make resolutions like, oh, I'm just gonna lose weight, or I'm gonna eat better, or I'm gonna do one thing. Dude, you can do one thing every 21 days. That's like 15, 17 things at the end of the year. And you're that much fucking better. Am I boring you?
No, I'm like taking it all in.
You know what's funny is I was always so hungry to ask people, what should I change about myself? And people would tell me, oh, I think you should change this or change that. And I fucking change. With every bone marrow in my body, I change. And I remember my business partner telling me this. He goes, dude, look at you. Like, you change all these things. Imagine the next 2 to 5 to 6 years. Where are you going to be? You're going to be this perfect fucking guy. Right? And I think back now, and this is, a little personal thing. I think back now when I was younger, I used to have a hard time getting girls. And I learned how to get girls, right? Build more confidence and all this stuff. And I changed all these things about myself. Man, now I got girls fucking crying when I break up with them, dude. You see what I'm saying? It's not about the getting the girl part. That I'm not trying to brag. And my point is, it's the fucking changes I made as a man, as a child to a man, and now I can see, because my perspective is so much broader now, because I train myself and practice this thing every day, and I'm like, dude, I'm this fucking guy, and I'm not gonna boast about myself, but my point is I made so much changes to the man I wanted to be, and I think people see that now, and I'm just using it as an example where girls they fall in love harder than they fall in love with another man. You see what I'm saying? And I think back, I'm like, well, what is it? And I think it's all these changes. But life should just be like that. It shouldn't be like, here's the goal. Because if that's the goal, you end there. Just get into the habit of wanting to break habits, and you're a totally different person now. Mm-hmm. Remember the time when we were talking about where I was like, who cares how people talk to you? That's their when people talk to you a certain way, they're projecting their own inner visions and insecurities and their perspective on you. Mm-hmm. Like if I wasn't sitting here and it was a fucking guy that worked at Microsoft, he would teach you how to make more money and how to work for Microsoft or his company. If a broke kid was sitting here, he would teach you how to make money selling drugs, probably. But I'm a businessman, so I'm going to teach you how to start your own little side business. You see what I'm saying? It's all perspective. It's all self-values. Like I talked to Gabriel, Gabriel Jr. Remember Gabriel Jr., the Mexican kid that worked with us? Mm-hmm. So the first Gabriel that worked with us, he was, hey Derek, customer was flipping out, I didn't know how to handle it, and I got upset. He told me that, I got upset, that's why I said the things he said to the customer. So he was coming to me for advice on how do I handle irate customers. And I said, Gabe, when a customer comes in and is angry, and he throws attitude, and he's raising his voice, and his body's moving more like a seizure, It's because that person just doesn't know how to handle that situation normally. Like if I had a bad device, I wouldn't walk in there bitching and give an attitude, right? I know how to talk with someone normally. But if someone doesn't know how to handle the situation normally, their temperature rises, their pulse rate rises, their anger now rises, but it's not anger, it's frustration because they don't know how to explain themselves. So they get a little bit more, their body movement starts moving more. Their voice goes higher. And then they go, oh, give me your supervisor, blah, right? My point at the end of the day is that person is not mad at you. They just didn't know how to handle the situation like a normal person, right? So if someone talks to you in a rude way, it's not you, it's that person. Like, this fucking guy's weird, right? Like, this guy don't know how to fucking be cool. Like, he can't keep his cool. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But don't take it personal. I don't know if you ever see me with an irate customer. I'm chill as fuck. I just listen. Why? Because the first thing that people want to know, people just want to be understood. So what I do, I just shut my fucking mouth and I just listen. Okay. Alright. Then what I do next, I try to figure out how they're using the device. Then I go, you know what? Can I just tell you something? And I don't want you to feel upset, but you're using it wrong. But I control my tone of voice too, because if they know that I'm calm, I'm bringing them back down too. Like they're thinking, oh, this guy really wants to help me. He's not trying to fight back or argue back. How many other supervisors or whatever will argue back, right? Get the fuck out of here. How many business owners would say that? But they're not. Well, I don't want to talk about the other business owners. My point is, it's understanding the other person better than they understand themselves. You win because it's nothing personal. I talk about the 4 pillars of this. This is like the Buddhism thing, okay? And this is something I kind of made on my own. It's the 4 pillars of how to look at the world differently, and understanding our brains and ourselves now, right? Well, I always say we're just a consciousness, but the brain is the memory, right? It's the survival organ, but the consciousness is us, the energy. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm gonna explain to you. So there's 4 pillars. There's the input system. The input system is your eyes, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you touch. It associates with the memory bank, which is your memory, right? If I told you color black is bad, or let's just say I tell you Mexican people are bad, that's a memory now. Your brain's gonna remember that. Okay, subconscious. You don't need to think about it. It's automated, remember? Mm. You see a Mexican person, you go, oh, fuck that guy. He needs help. I'm not going to help him because he's bad. Because someone has told you it's bad. So the input system is what you see, taste, smell, touch, and whatever else, right? Here. If you can practice this mindfulness of what you just saw, what memory it triggers. And whatever memory it triggers, again, the brain is a survival organ, it's going to create an emotion. It's going to release an amount of chemical for you to go, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm excited, I hate this guy, I feel uneasy, I hate him, right? So that's the 3rd pillar. Then what happens next? You act, you react. Remember we talked about reacting? Mm-hmm. That's the reacting part. If we don't catch ourselves, if we're not mindful of what we see, if we're not mindful of, oh, what I just saw triggered this memory. Oh, this memory triggered this emotion. Why does emotion cause me to say this or do that? Right? Whether it's excitement. Remember, in Buddhism, there's no happiness or sadness or excitement. They're just all emotions. It's one thing. So I feel excited. Cool. I'm excited. I know I'm excited. Fine. but don't like react from the excitement, right? So you catch yourself, what you see, taste, touch, hear, and feel. You know what thought is triggering. You know how it feels, you know how to react. And the best thing is, like we said, is don't react. So now we stop ourselves from reacting and just observe purely within ourselves and within the other person. Well, I know it made me feel upset, but I didn't react. I'm just still observing. But now I'm observing that person reversed. I'm watching their actions. Now I know how they feel. Now I'm thinking, what caused this? What memory did this person go through in life that caused that emotion for them to react this way? Then you know what they heard, smell, the 5 inputs again. Do you see that 4 pillars right there?
Mm-hmm.
If we could train ourselves, be a practitioner of that, life is beautiful. And I explain why now. Okay, I can draw this out because we're gonna get a little. It's gonna get a little more confusing. But when we stop ourselves from reacting, this part here, the brain is gonna freak out. The brain's gonna go, Gabe, what the fuck are you doing? Do something. Meaning, if you heard a gunshot, the brain is gonna go, Gabe, run, right? But if somebody says bad to you, a friend or a parent may say, Gabe, stand up for yourself. You're gonna feel uneasy because it's triggering a memory of stand up for yourself. And you're not standing up for yourself, you're a loser. That's what everyone says, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not. You're not a loser because you're smarter than that. You're not gonna react. You're gonna go, no, I'm not gonna react. What happens now? The brain is gonna go, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb. But it's a survival organ. So what does it do? It starts to use the top part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex and the neocortex. It's going to access the other parts of your brain, the top parts of your brain that you normally don't use. Why? Because it's only using the limbic system, the reactive system, the fight or flight brain. But your prefrontal, which is responsible for mathematical things and rational thoughts, you don't use that much, right? You don't. That's why when they say, oh, you only use 95%, you only use 5% of your brain, that's not true. You actually use 100, but 95% of it is used by your fucking limbic system, which is the memory bank, which is what I told you, that Mexican people are bad, that Trump is bad, that fucking whatever is bad. Now you got all these negative social connotations on your limbic system, and you're just fucking firing from negativity over and over and over and over. What good does it do? But when you stop yourself from reacting, meaning you don't use the lower part of your brain's gonna freak and go to the top part of the brain because it's trying to find a way for you to survive, react, to not feel dumb, to not look dumb, right? Something beautiful happens from there. Your brain will access all the neural pathways in your brain within nanoseconds. Well, let's just say 10 seconds, because you don't want to react for 10 seconds. It's so hard to do because you're just biting your fucking tongue at this point, right? You're like, you fucking motherfucker. I just want to punch this motherfucker in the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the normal way of handling a situation. That's how the limbic system is trained to do. Because someone has told you to punch him. Someone has told you, stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't, you stop yourself from the last pillar, which is reacting, your brain will access all neural pathways. The beautiful thing that happens from here is that you formulate your own idea, a fresh perspective, an idea that no one has probably ever thought about. And why? I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a little example. I knew of this practice I just explained to you, just 4 pillars, and it's something I do normally. When I was in a business meeting with certain business partners, I said, we should do it this way, because I got creative. I didn't react. I let my brain scan my other neural pathways, and formulate a better idea. And I propose this idea to the meeting, and they go, well, that's stupid. And I go, that's interesting that he says stupid. I want to hear why, right? So he goes, Xerox doesn't do it that way. Walmart doesn't do it that way. Kmart doesn't, Target doesn't do it that way. They do it like this. I said, okay. I let him do it. I didn't say anything. A year later, he was like, it doesn't work. Guess what? I didn't say anything for a year. I let him make the mistake. I let him burn his own hand. And he came back to me for advice. And I said, as a small business, you have to be creative, because we have the opportunity to be more nimble. As a big company, they can't change quick because they got to go through so many layers of people.
Mm-hmm.
But as a small company, we can go, hey, let's do this tomorrow. Done. I said, you don't want to be like Walmart. So if people say be better than Walmart, do you be like Walmart? No. If you're Walmart, you're not going to be better. You're going to be maybe close to Walmart, or half of Walmart, or a quarter of it, or like Walmart. Now you're not better than them. So you got to be creative on your own. So we started building better systems by saying, you know what? We should do it this way because this makes sense. Because we're using the top part of our brain now to think of better ways to build systems, right? Don't do it like other people. The brain socially will live and do things like other people and what they tell you, right? We really don't have our own perspective, because we just do what other people do. So we get the same results they do. That's why the people that are making, that's why the 2% of people in the world, they don't listen to other people. They think for themselves. Something Dan Lok taught me. Dan Lok is a coach. He teaches other people how to run their own businesses and make more money and all this stuff. He says, let's just say you have 5 things on your calendar you needed to do today for your business. You finish those 5 things. What do? He's asking the whole audience this. Everyone's like, oh, you do marketing. Oh, you do a cold calling. Oh, you do this. Oh, you do that. And he's like, no. People are like, well, what do you fucking do? He goes, you do nothing. People are like, what do you mean? And he says, you do thinking only. You sit and you think. 30 minutes, 1 hour a day, you sit and you think with a notepad and you only brainstorm. Because people don't use the top part of their brain enough. They don't think enough. They don't plan enough. They don't strategize. They don't think back on their yesterdays and go, what could I have done yesterday to make it easier, better, or cut some shortcuts? Healthy shortcuts, not bad shortcuts, right? Like me, I think a lot now on, I have to now. There's 2 practices I think from a person I met who's Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment and what Dan Lok said. Patrick says, people always say, I worked so hard for the last 20 years, how come I don't make more money? And you sit down and you think, what did you do different? Nothing. So he goes, you need to spend 80%, minimum, he says, you need to spend 80% a day doing the things that just maintain your business, maintain your life, just keep it alive. But he says you have to spend 20% more, right? Doing something different, hedging for the future, changing for the future, doing something for the future. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Then Dan says you have to think more. So I always think, what did I do today that's 80 and 20%? So now I'm practicing 2 different things every day. When I'm lying in bed, what am I going to do tomorrow that's 80% and 20% different? But my life is actually different now. It's actually 20% maintaining, 80% hedging, growing. Because that's better, right? Because if I can have these guys run the shop, automate that, I can build other things on the side. So I spend 80% growing the internet business, and I go to the shop for 20%, maybe 40%, 50%, whatever the time it is, to go and just check the shop out, maintain everything, train the guys, you know, do this, do that, delete this, do that, shit like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of maintaining. So stopping and thinking is important, and making sure that 80% of your day is maintaining minimum 80%, and 20% is what am I going to do right now for the next 2 hours that's so uncomfortable that's gonna take my company to the next level.
Yeah, like invest.
Invest.
Okay, pause. Hold on.
Do you have a calendar?
In the phone?
Yeah.
I think so.
You use it?
No.
Use it. Plan your day. Make 2 blocks every day. Go 80, 20. And the 20%, what are you going to do? And the 80%, what are you going to do? 80% is like wake up, eat breakfast, fill up the gas tank, shower. Those are 80%. 20% is like download a new app. Macari, we talked about. Post 1 item. That's it, just one. That's your 20%.
For sure.
You know?
I
The
get it.
next day, 80% day-to-day shit.
I love it.
20% growing shit.
Yeah.
Oh, guy, I don't want to do the stuff that you don't want to do because it's new. 20%, 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever. Just do it, right? And the next fucking 6 months, see where your life goes. It changes pretty quick, but you gotta make a change.
Can we order some food?
You hungry?
I'm sorry.
What are you probably eating? Dude, I'll make you pot stickers. I just made this today. I love this shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're really hungry?
Yeah.
You want noodles too?
Okay.
Like a ramen?
Whatever. Surprise me. It's like starting to. It's kind of weird, like